So, if you're someone who identifies as an emotional eater, or you know that your weight creeps up during stressful times, and this episode of Joyful Eating is for you. Listen on to discover how Nicole changed her beliefs about being an emotional eater, even though she wasn't sure she could change, and was able to keep her weight stable over a very stressful period in her life.
So welcome, Nicole. So let's start by casting your mind back a very long time. So, what was your relationship with food and your body like before you joined the Naturally Healthy Club?
So when I came to Naturally Healthy Club, I'd actually already lost a lot of weight and I'd hit my goal weight, but for probably, actually, it was about 40 years before that, my weight had yo-yoed up and down over the years. So I definitely fell into the camp of being an emotional eater, an overeater, eating during times of stress, weight going up, weight going down, buying new clothes. Should I keep these clothes? Should I get rid of these clothes? And so just a real cycle, just that cycle that so many people can get into. So I had lost the weight. I'd done it in a really healthy way, which I was proud of. And really, it was a lot of the same stuff that you teach in Naturally Healthy Club, which was being intentional, not being restrictive, unlike, no sugar,
Previous
no
times,
carbs,
yeah.
all of that. Yes. But so I think probably the body was right, but the mindset wasn't. So I definitely was holding on to the beliefs of done this before. Am I going to keep it off? How long till I start putting weight on? And so I
So
didn't
you had
really.
that fear, like so you had
I
it,
did.
you had that fear of like, oh, this is all going to go away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So how long is this going to last? And and because sometimes, my weight would stay off for like a number of years, and I thought, that's it, great, I've cracked it. And then, during a period of stress in particular, the weight would just kind of, I would just, I was an overeater, so I would just emotionally eat, and then the weight would just kind of slowly creep back on. Yeah, yeah. So
Right,
that's where I
right.
was. Yeah.
Okay. And so what tipped you over from like thinking about joining Naturally Healthy Club to actually deciding to join? I know it was a
Well,
while ago.
it was a while ago, but I still remember the email. So I'd subscribed to Simple Meal Plans. I don't know how many years that is now, but many years. And you'd sent an email that said something like, are you a yo-yo dieter? Are you an overeater? Do you emotionally eat? Just a whole pile of questions. I think there might have even been one about drinking in there. And I was like, oh, that's me. That, it just really spoke to my experience. And I remember talking to my husband and saying, oh, I've lost the weight, but maybe this could be the thing that helps, and I make decisions very quickly. So it was kind of got the email, I'm not overly impulsive, but it would be like, yeah, okay, right, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
yes, but it was just those questions that I felt like you were speaking to me. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. And so what concerns did you have, if any, before you joined about your ability to get the most out of
Yeah,
it?
look, probably like, is this going to work? I'm a positive person, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, well, well, is it going to work? I was a little bit skeptical, I guess,
Yeah.
about, and probably the uncertainty about not really knowing what it involved as well. But yeah, but I didn't, I don't remember having major concerns.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. And so let's yeah, like so how like now moving like to now, like how has being in the Naturally Healthy Club changed the way you feel about yourself and your body?
how long have you got, Jules?
We've got
So
all
many
day,
things.
Nicole.
No, look, it has been an absolute game changer for me. So I think I'm a few years out now. I can't quite remember, but
Yeah, so I was wondering, did
um,
you join in, like, I think you might have started in January 2022, like with that group, with that,
yes, probably, yeah,
yeah,
definitely probably post-COVID.
yeah,
Yes, because Yeah, or was it even? Anyway, I'm not quite sure because it was around the time that I turned 50 that I was thinking, look, I've got a window of opportunity here. I just really need to get my weight sorted, BMI, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was definitely a few years back, but probably the main thing, well, there's a few things for me. One is the absolute change in my beliefs about being an emotional eater. Like I just do not believe that about myself anymore. And
Amazing.
yeah, and it does feel amazing. And it's, when I think back, it feels quite delightful to because it took me a while to realize I was actually an emotional eater. And then that almost became part of my identity. Some people lose weight when they're stressed. I'm one of those people that puts on weight when they're stressed. And I just kind of accepted that about myself. So Naturally Healthy Club just shook up my beliefs about myself. And really, that just became apparent to me. So not after I finished Naturally Healthy Club, a little while after I had just a major thing happen in my family. I had surgery. We packed up and moved house in a week. We moved from one
Right.
rental to very quickly, and we had some work stresses. And I was just getting through all of that when my beloved father passed away, died suddenly of a heart attack. And then I was deeply grief stricken about that. And then I had a lot of issues to do with his estate, legal stuff, dealing with family, packing up and selling his house. And we were building a house at the same time. And there was delays with that. And I was, doing estate stuff, packing up dad's, picking wall colors and things like that. So it was just this crazy,
Grieving.
intense
Yeah.
time. And guess what, Jules? Like, no emotional eating, no overeating. And it really, and I had really good practices in place, like through all of that, having a really healthy diet helped and, regular exercise. But I was, and, and I think of course, there were times where I wanted a sweet treat. Like I'm just a human. But what we learned in Naturally Healthy Club was sort of saying to yourself, of course, you want something sweet and comforting. You're going through an awful time. And I would say to myself, you're a naturally grieving person. Of course you
Right.
want this
Yeah.
thing. But then I would have it, but it's intentional and it's mindful. And that's the big, big shift. Before that, I would just be stressed, overeat, and then before you know it, I'd just eaten, I don't know, toasted cheese sandwich, a sweet treat, hot chocolate, and then I'd be feeling full and revolting. But it kind of all happened before I actually realized what was happening.
Right. So you didn't have any, it's almost like you don't have conscious awareness of what's going on.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas now, you can, I have a treat, it's not a problem. And I mean, there's just so many things I learned during the Naturally Healthy Club, but not making a story up about yourself, which was definitely something I did. You've not changed, you want that, so you're still this, just all of those, just that negative kind of self-talk that you can have around food. So that was a big shift as well. Like I'm just a human being. Of course, sometimes I'm going to overeat. Well, whatever. Don't make and
Right. And
what.
then, but it doesn't mean that I'm this person or that, yeah. So you're able to coach yourself in those moments. Like,
No, and the self-coaching, Jules, like honestly, that is when I was thinking about, when I was thinking about chatting to you today, it's the self-coaching, it's the self-compassion, and just talking to yourself in a much kinder and nicer way, and being really gentle with yourself, and stopping yourself in the moment when you're going and having all of those negative thoughts too. The planning ahead, it was just is so important. Okay, I've got to function on. One of the questions we talk about in Naturally Healthy Club. So how do I want this to go? So you plan ahead. Okay, sure, I'm going to try a little bit of that. I'm going to drink a little bit of this. I'm going to have a great time. But there's another part to that story, which is if I go to the function and I overeat and I overdrink, I don't start swimming in the river of misery about it.
Right.
Another great phrase I picked up from that Healthy Club. It's just like, whatever. Okay, what can I learn from this? What did I do? What didn't I do? And um, and then you just move on. It's just kind of like, whatever, that's just life. And earlier this year, first Christmas without my dad, which was really devastating.
All those
First
firsts are
anniversary of
hard,
his
aren't they?
death. That was all just really hard. And I had, a few kilos went on, a few bad habits crept in, feeling really stuck, feeling a bit stale. And then I just was like, okay, experimental mindset, another thing we talk about. And I just thought, why don't you just experiment with getting yourself back on track and sticking to your plan for a week and just see what happens? And it was just enough to kickstart me because I didn't put pressure on myself. I was experimenting. The experiment worked. A few kilos came off. I'm back to normal. All the good habits kicked back in. And I think that's probably another take-home message too, is it doesn't have to be perfect. We're not perfect. It's just, we're just human beings muddling our way through life, and we do this and we do that, and it's just all okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Mm.
So do you feel like your relationship with yourself has really changed from going through that?
Yeah, yes, most definitely. When I think about Naturally Healthy Club, you go in with sort of an idea about, food and habits and some of your relationship with food, but it ends up being so much more than that. It ends up being an approach to life, an approach to yourself, and also what we've got to talk about too is actually just making it a bit fun and lighthearted.
Yeah, yeah.
We're overeating and we feel a bit heavy in our bodies, we feel a bit heavy in our hearts, and we can be very serious, particularly if there's health implications. So it can all be a little bit, heavy. Yeah. And so I think what you do is you help bring a lightness to things. So you're not taking yourself so seriously, even though sometimes it can be serious and you need to think about what you're doing. You just bring that element of fun and experimentation in as well. And you just try, what's worked for me with Naturally Healthy Club might not have worked for someone else. I've taken from it what I need. And that's the beauty of it too, because you offer so many different things, whether it's worksheets with stickers, which I personally love, whether it's, whether it's the coaching, whether it's the group, the calls or whatever, there's really something I think for everyone too, that fits their own personality and needs at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So do you feel
Yeah.
now, Nicole, like if you before you joined, you were like, you had that fear of and you had that identity of I'm an emotional eater, and so there was this fear in the back of your mind. It's like, something stressful is going to happen, and then weight's going to come back on. Do you think that's been the biggest change? Is that now you have that new identity of actually, I can handle stressful situations.
Absolutely. I just have a real trust and confidence in myself. But the trust and confidence it's in too, like if I do get a bit off track, which I did at the start of the year,
I
apply
can
a
course
compassion
correct.
to that. Of course, we those of us that have been through intense grief, the first anniversaries and all of that, really tough. Of course, I got a bit off track. And then you just kind of come back. And then each time you do that, it's very reinforcing because it reinforces the trust that you have in yourself. So you get to feel good, you get to feel good about yourself. That's what I
Yeah.
like about it too,
Yeah.
actually. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like that like regardless of the situation, like you're able to like interpret it in a way that lets you feel good about yourself. So
Yeah.
even if you
Yeah,
have a
that's
tough
right.
time, so it's like you're either winning or you're learning, but you get to feel good either way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so good,
Um,
Nicole. And
and
like,
it is so good.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like, if you're thinking like now about your future, like, how do you like? What are your thoughts about your future in terms of your relationship with food and where you're heading?
Well, I can't see that I would go back now. Like if I can get through the last
All those
look,
things, yes.
all those things, and it is the change in beliefs. Like I just don't believe that about myself anymore. Um, and if you can think one thing about yourself, you can think another thing about yourself. Like you can swap your thoughts out, which is,
Yeah.
it sounds very simple, but it's so true. So, um, the, I feel like what I've got now, which maybe I didn't have so much before too, is just really good mental hygiene, which might sound like a funny way of saying it, but just my thought processes are just really clear and kind. And and if I do go, of course, there's times where I go into a little bit of a negative spin about something, but then again, the coaching comes in. I ask myself, how is this helpful? And then, and then I go from there. And there's a real power to that self-coaching as well. I think you did a podcast on that recently, didn't you?
Yeah.
About self-coaching. Yeah, and I was kind of listening to it going, yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Cool. So there's no fear about the future of like, something's going to come up and I'm
Absolutely.
going to go back to how I was before. Yeah.
No, no. If I can get through the past, year, 18 months with not gaining a significant amount of weight and having to buy a new wardrobe, I can get through anything.
Thing.
Yeah.
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 Amazing. And so what surprised you most about being part of the Naturally Healthy Club, do you think, Nicole?
Definitely the change in the belief about myself. I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but I probably didn't anticipate that I would actually come out of that experience and um, not think of myself as an
That
emotional
was
eater.
even possible for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess another surprise, which is, you know, I'm not as annoying to feed. So, I mean, I've got family in Queensland, and every time I'd go up there, they'd be like, "What aren't you eating like this time?"
Today, right, right.
And it's just so nice to go somewhere, go out for a meal, go to a restaurant, go to family, and I just eat like whatever. I just eat whatever you put in front of me, and that's fine. It's not restrictive. It's not, oh, I'm not eating carbs this
No
year.
dairy for me. Yeah, yeah, right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So we don't even realize that that's how, like, that's not fun until you, like, when you remove that and you're like, oh, actually, this is so much better. Like, yeah.
yeah. And I think you talk about freedom a lot, and there is just that kind of inbuilt freedom around food and just feeling freer in life and in my choices and because you take the struggle out of it. That's it's yeah,
Mm.
that is very freeing and very. I used to spend so long, Jules, just thinking about, oh, what am I going to eat and this and am I going to overeat, and there was just, I don't know, like countless hours thinking about food and food intake and weight and health. And now, of course, I think about those things because I'm health conscious, but it's not with that same, I don't know, self-criticism and intensity and, I guess probably a little bit of sadness and shame and all of those things as well.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you are thinking about food, it's a positive, like it's the fun stuff
Yes.
rather than
Yeah.
thinking about
Yeah.
food in the negative way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think another thing that surprised me is the Advent challenge that you set a few years back,
Oh,
which
right,
was
right.
a calendar, and it was just preparing everyone leading up to Christmas for all the Christmas functions and things. And it was about being intentional. And I think the little thing was there will be plenty of amazing food in my future. And that Christmas, I ate whatever I wanted and lost weight. I mean, that blew my mind. I didn't feel restricted. I ate whatever I wanted to. I had a fantastic Christmas, went to all the parties, and so
Listening
that
to your
was a
body.
surprise
Yeah.
too. Listening to
Yeah.
your body. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. And you've got a
Yeah.
trip coming up, Nicole. So how are you feeling about like you've got some travel coming, like the
Yes, I've been thinking about that. No, I'm like all good. I mean, and let's just say I indulge while I'm away. Okay, sure, that'll be fine. And then my like I will maintain a healthy weight.
yeah,
That's the bottom line. Yeah.
yeah, and you'll enjoy the trip as well.
And I'll enjoy the trip. Yes. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to some, beautiful meals while we're away. Um, yeah, yeah. So no, I feel really confident about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. And so, who would you recommend the Naturally Healthy Club to, Nicole?
Mm. Yep. Anyone that'll listen. I think probably, anyone in my position that maybe is at a weight they're comfortable with, but they haven't given up the struggle with food.
Yes.
Someone that's in my, that was very much in my position, but anyone that's struggling with overeating, struggling in their relationship with food, I mean, which is so many people, we eat 3 times a day and it can be really taxing. Yeah, anyone that's just even thinking about it because you haven't got anything to lose except maybe some weight,
Yeah.
but it's it, just give it a go, just it's fun, it's supportive, and for me, and I know for many others actually, it's been an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, thanks so much. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap up, Nicole?
I just want to thank you for the work that you do. I just really appreciate you and your realness and your honesty when doing the coaching. There were a few times where I was like, oh, wow, Jules, okay, great. Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. But you're just real and you're honest and you're just a human being with human struggles and you're really open about those. And, I deeply appreciate that. It just gives a real kind of real, a genuine touch to the whole program. I think everyone leaves the program, I'm only speaking for myself, feeling like we really know you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And that's really lovely. So yeah, no, deeply grateful for our paths crossing.
Oh, me too, Nicole. That's really beautiful.
So, if you're like Nicole and you're ready to heal from being an emotional eater, so you're able to navigate stressful periods without your weight creeping up and being caught in that cycle, and especially if you're like Nicole and you've had this pattern for your whole life and you're skeptical that it's possible for you to change, then come and play with us in the Naturally Healthy Club. So, yes, I said play. So you don't actually have to do anything radically hard. It's just a matter of making intentional choices and learning to listen to your body with the support and the accountability of me and the others in the Naturally Healthy Club group. So let us help you be like Nicole and apply for the Naturally Healthy Club. So just click on the link in the show notes or Google Stone Soup and go to the Naturally Healthy Club page and get your application in. So spaces are limited, so don't mess around.